Everybody's here and in the green room. We're talking as women do. Women love on each other. When I first started, about 15 years ago, coming right from corporate, my head was all messed up, and I was like, why am I not happy? Why do I feel like I have to be obsessive about how can I one up everybody so that I can, get to where I need to get to? Because if I'm quiet and working really hard and not selling myself, then something's going to go wrong because I'm not competing like everybody else. And I know that I felt so depleted. So, with this mindset to heart series that we've been doing this probably for 4 months, and it's been created organically. Before this, we were doing show after show every month. Now we're doing them quarterly because I love getting in with these beautiful ladies. I've had a few men come in conversation too. I believe that we need freedom, safety, and healing. If you look at those three pillars, you can see that if you put them in the sphere of what you're doing as a speaker out there, as someone who's helping others, that you start feeling this nurturing space that we intuitively knew all along. But some of us, just weren't around all of that when we were growing up. But the more that we nurture and bring on more people, the more we start really clearing this thing that we've heard so many times that women don't get along, and you realize, oh my gosh, that's at this certain IQ level. But I believe hashtag speaker locking arms. I've been doing this where we probably have about 62,000 views right now. And I'm creating something where I want to stop the blaming and shaming. And I know that we can't do it all over the place, but for these people that are you watching, have you been following us? Cara Horat that's here, and I have to make sure that I said that right, Kara.
You
But
did. Horat. Yep, you got it. It's a
is
weird
it
one.
Horat?
I blame my husband, and it's like Croatian or Hungarian or something,
So
but
Kara, is it Horat?
it's Horat. Yeah,
Horat. Okay. Well, do you see how my last name is spelled? Lie big. And
lie
my
big.
background is
Oh,
accounting CPA stuff. So I was like, oh, yes, that's pretty silly. But it actually means love in German. So it's
I love it.
beautiful.
Very nice.
I wanted to read something about Kara, but Kara, welcome in. I love being casual and just really connecting. We were talking about pictures just a moment ago.
Yeah,
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My heart is so warm to see you. I've had one of these days. I just left my son in Washington. He's been there for a couple months. And it's like ready to power it out. I feel good. I start going and I go, oh, I feel anxious today. It's that transition. And it's like breathing it in, just loving on the fact that my son is happy. I mean, how much more can we ask like that as a parent? But I pulled something up because I was looking at Kara's stuff, and I'm like, man, there's so many reasons. I always know there's purpose why we're here together. And so Kara is the founder of Connect for Success. The last two and a half decades have been invested in building several of my own businesses from the ground up, each of them rooted in relationship with connecting. I founded Connect for Success in 2014 to expand upon what I love doing, connecting with business minded people. This is accomplished by bringing the mastermind concept and a sense of community to entrepreneurs who want to stretch and grow in an environment that is collaborative and compassion. I love what you're saying here. And you know what I found interesting? You have an event that's coming up, and it has to do with people coming together. It's a mastermind for the day. And what I see is that you guys are playing and laughing and you're hanging outside, and it looks like, like, hey, come over and have a barbecue. But I mean, the results are that you're really speaking to business. Now that's really, really fun. Can you tell me, my friend, what is your background when it comes to bringing community together? It seems like it's your special thing that you got going here. I don't see a lot of people be this casual, but really, streaming this along that, hey, we're going to connect and have business also. I think it's one of the safest places to be is like that.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, and thank you. And I have full disclosure, I got a haircut and like my hair is a weird length, so I'm like just not almost like playing with my hair here. So excuse me. So this is real life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an East Coaster, right? I came from the Northeast, and I'm really just a straightforward, also authentic, although that word I would just say real person. And, that kind of shows up in everything I do. And when I decided to launch Connect for Success, it was under the premise that I needed something deeper than just networking as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 26, going on 27 years. Three different businesses that I've built. I love building things. I love building people. I love building community. And I knew that I needed something deeper. And if I needed something deeper, I thought there's other women out there that need something deeper as well. And so what's interesting about that is my brand used to be conference rooms and country clubs. But post pandemic, everything changed. And my brand is now very much about small, intimate settings in people's homes, and also small settings on Zoom, which might seem impersonal, but it's not actually. If you can get part like that hybrid of in person and online, it's the perfect match. So the event that's coming up is our 1-day retreat. It's a signature event that we do, and it's no more than 20 women, and we come together at a beautiful property. It's different every time, and it's a way for people to get a taste of our mastermind, but it's so much bigger than that. It's a way to come together. So, community, connection, confidence, and I would say is probably the secret sauce, right? So what we hear from women, and you're right, like I loved your hashtag, and I would say hashtag business women locking arms, because you're right. There is this perception that women can be catty, and there are people out there, whatever, like that. It's fine. To me, it's really just where you're at in your journey of growth and how much you're willing to grow. And if you're willing to grow and you're willing to change and you're willing to dive in deep, then the rest of that drama, that cattiness, it goes by the wayside. So I'm super intentional about curating amazing women who are growth minded, and that mindset is everything. It's everything. From how you show up, to how you feel when things aren't going your way, to how you feel when someone else is having success, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure if I answered really your question, but to me, that building that community and problem solving and really getting like personal and into the deep water of your business with other people, there's real magic in it. There's magic in it. And if we have come with a win-win-win mentality to that table of help and service, like we Connect for Success are about making an impact. So serving, supporting, and impacting women in business that are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. And it's a beautiful thing when it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that with you and that mindset, I always think of it as a frequency too. I kind of bring in this kind of spiritual vibe feeling, like when you have that vibe, people just tend to kind of come in towards you, the other ladies that have vibes like that, and men too, because I think even men can be catty also. So I love this, because where I want to go with that is learning how you said something about when somebody's doing something that is, you're like, oh, wow, look at that person doing such and such thing. I know when I first started this 7 years ago, and I knew I was working around people in the health industry, which I've been in the health industry for 25 years, and people doing business, yeah, like in all these things. I got really challenged when I started running a podcast, because I was still healing from this thing and probably up leveling my emotional IQ towards people and love and really respecting people is, oh my gosh, I have to market this person. At first, I'm like, yeah, no problem. Going to market them, going to love on them. And then when it came down to it, I got real curious. So I'm like, oh, trying to lean into it more. And I go, you got some more healing to do. And so I love having that kind of a vibe to start really being in truth with ourselves. There's no shame in where you come from. It's like what you were saying, the growth, the emotion, like you're leaning in and going, getting curious. Because I think how you can test yourself is when you do see somebody leveling up, you can check in on yourself. You can say, oh my gosh, like this person is doing that. And then I started recognizing for myself how things were just starting to change for me. I was like, I cannot believe that this person did that. Now that gives me space. Now I can directly see that. So with your group think, with your mastermind and bringing people together, people have to be leveling up way quicker than when they're by themselves one-on-one. Because when I think about the hashtag and we start throwing these hashtags out about us working as a community and changing things globally as we're getting out there, that that's one of the things I think that we need to check in on, making sure that we're really feeling that love for others to be able to expand instead of closing ourselves off with others.
Well, I think what happens, and you're right, but I don't think it's an intentional decision to close ourselves off. I think what happens is that we get into the minutia of things and we're going and going and doing the grind, right? And you're grinding and grinding. And then, like, look, it's already October. So, like, I bet you some of your listeners are like, I can't even believe it's October. Where did the year go?
Yeah.
And so you're putting your head down to get to work, but then you're missing the stuff going on around you. And so to be intentionally like, no, I don't want to feel isolated. I want new ideas. I want innovation. I crave collaboration. I crave community, right? And we all do. It's a matter of admitting it to yourself. So I had a woman recently, a couple of them actually, say things. These are the words I'm hearing. I'm lonely. I'm feeling isolated.
Mhm.
My business isn't my business is slower this year. So rather than pulling back, invest in yourself, invest in community, because we provide not just support, but we provide ideation and we provide that think tank. It's almost like having your own personal board of directors,
Yeah.
people that have your back, have no financial or emotional attachment to your business, which is key,
Mhm.
because you can have a partner, whether it's a business partner or a life partner or whomever that you're doing business with, but very often you will share the same perspective. You have blinders on. So to have people outside of your perspective to give you feedback, to pull out, and I always say this to women, where do you want to be better? Because I have been doing this for a long time. I haven't arrived. You've been doing this for a long time. You haven't arrived. None of us have arrived. It's
Right.
the moment, if we think we've arrived, that is really probably when we need the most help. So, right? Like, it's so true. Like, where can you be better? But maybe that person is just, and I do have a lot of grace for people. So I talk a lot about curating women that really want to level up and want to grow. And when someone isn't in that space, it's not a judgment. It's just she's not in the same place as us right now. And
Yeah.
that's okay. And that's where she is, because maybe we've been there too. And maybe in a little while, she'll get to the place where she's wanting what we have to offer. So there's no judgment, right? It's just where you're at. But we have something. When I launched Connect for Success 10 years ago, it was filling the void. There was white space. There was nothing like it. And it's also for me an opportunity to serve in that it's very affordably priced what we do. We're not, out there charging like $30,000 for a mastermind. And, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying there, except that I will say this: what I've heard, and I will say it this way: the our community is not the Cara Horat show. So this isn't about come and glean and sit by my feet. It's about come and let's get in the trenches together.
Yeah.
And let me hear what you have to say, and you have to say, and you have to say, and you have to say, because the collective power of that third mind, right? That's the mastermind concept. You and I together have our own ideas. But when we put our heads together, Rhonda, we create a third mind. So
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah, I love where you're going with that too. I think about that. When you are by yourself, there's only so many things that you can truly do. So when you have more people together, I like that. Two minds together is like three, or just, I believe in quantum leaping also, because you'll just say something or you will talk more than you normally do. And sometimes it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And so it's great when you're with a group, especially having fun. That's where the safety part is people are just having fun, getting to know each other. And I believe that we do business with friends. There's no way that you're just going to say yes to somebody that you don't really know. So it's not that you're ever even doing sales anymore as a businesswoman. It literally is you're just leaning in and playing and having fun with people. I find that when I'm doing any connection calls, I don't even think I even call it a connection call. I think of it more as like I'm getting to know you. You know, what are you doing
Yeah.
that is changing this world or changing your clients? It becomes a different conversation. And I love that feeling because when you are in that space and you're growing within a group atmosphere, then you grow faster. Because if you are
I don't know. I mean, maybe
Australia to Europe to all that kind of stuff. So
so
I
cool.
love that you have your online stuff, but you also bring people together. I was going
Well,
to ask you some more stuff, but you said you wanted to add on to that. Did I
okay, yeah. So
or
what you said, I remember you were talking about, doing business with friends. And it's interesting because I came from the corporate world years ago. And of course, in the corporate world, you have your friends, but it's very different. You talk about business, you might go to a happy hour, but you don't hang out with your coworkers necessarily. And the thing about being an entrepreneur is that I love to bring people into my life. So I used to say it like this. It's kind of like, I don't know, like my life is like a big bowl of spaghetti. Everything goes in the bowl, and like maybe we'll end up doing business here or there, or maybe we'll just end up being friends. And that any of those things is okay with me. So I have very often I have this hashtag and I'll always say hashtag business or hashtag monkey business. You decide, because I like to have a little business and a little monkey business in my life. And sometimes the people that I do business with and that I connect with end up becoming lifelong friends. And sometimes we're just partners in mastermind, and that's okay. But having those relationships that go deeper, I will say it like this. When I first launched Connect for Success Mastermind, I had 50 women at the launch. It was very well received. There were some great questions. And this sweet woman raised her hand and said, I have a question. So you're telling me that I can come to the table like with all my stuff and just as I am, just like, my hot mess of a self, and people potentially are going to want to do business with me. She's like, when I show up for my client, I don't show up like a hot mess. I show up in my garb and in my professional self.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wouldn't you agree with me that women are good at a lot of things? Yes. One of the things we're really good at is a negative, and that is comparing, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself, you might look at someone and go, wow, she's got it all together. She's had a podcast for 7 years. She's this, that, and the other. I couldn't be that. However, when you show up to a mastermind and we're meeting with the same people every month, you get to know people on a different level. So you can look at this person and go, wait, she's flawed. Me too. I like her. I want to do business with her. And so that concept right there of that fact that we none of us are perfect,
Mhm.
and being okay with your flaws and showing up. If you want to grow, you can't show up as a hot mess and just remain a hot mess and still have the same problem next week and the following week and the following week. You have to be wanting to grow.
Yeah.
But yes, so the friendships in business are wonderful. Women relate so differently to each other than men and women, and it's not good or bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
But we are very face to face and touchy feely, and being okay with that and being willing to help each other. One of my ambassadors, who is one of my facilitators, always says it's not a mastermind until someone cries. Well, we don't always cry. We don't always cry, but we sometimes cry, and
I
that's
can see
okay.
crying. I love breakthroughs. It's interesting when when somebody will cry and somebody's like, "Let me get you a tissue. Are you okay? Are you okay?" And it's like, "No, this is perfect.
Yeah,
this
I
is
gotta
really
let it out.
because yeah, that's the safety." It's like, here, wait, I just realized something, and that's that growth mindset,
It
and that
is.
you can do it in front of people. Because I was raised where if you cry, like you're weak, like, and all these shaming things came along,
Right.
and then when I cried really, 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 really hard. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, that felt really good." But I was depressed for a while, and I go, "Oh my gosh, this is the best I felt." And now anytime that there's a breakthrough, I mean that's like I'm clearing, I'm releasing, I'm moving forward. So women being very nurturing and learning how to be vulnerable you realize, some people have more years in a certain area than others, or this is just your jam, and you're doing certain things that are better than somebody else. But literally, there really is no competition, which is so fabulous because you get to know yourself. The more that you
Absolutely.
cry, you go, dang it, there's another thing that's getting me. And
Absolutely.
when we start
Yeah.
opening our heart, this is about mindset matters to heart. I want to hold this space about this whole heart thing, because I think this is what this world needs, is to connect, feel safe, and just feel like a badass.
Yeah.
So when I first started opening my heart, somebody would look at me like they were just like in loving arms holding me, and I would just cry. And I was new to it, like, to be that open, and people would laugh and say, "Oh, this is great." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm crying so hard." And I was embarrassed. And they were like, "Oh, I know, because you're new at it. That's what happens." And then I kept going with this, and I realized this is the safest place to be. Because when you're vulnerable, which can seem scary at first, but you have yourself open. And when you have yourself open, you can hear truly your heart. Your heart is so strong, working along with the mindset. And we have 40,000 neurons right here. That's like a heart, a mind within the heart. So if we keep loving on each other, then there's more out there in the world to give.
Yeah.
We just keep growing with that. So when you're working with these groups that you've been working with, can you share some heart stories, and you can elaborate on different things that you have going on too, just to kind of intertwine that? But let's hold the heart space. That's a beautiful space to finish this off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my event coming up is actually called Getting to the Heart of Your Business. And it's kind of a play on words, of course, because it's in February around Valentine's Day and Heart Health Month and
Yeah.
all the things. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that in order, this is my opinion, of course, but in order to be your best self in your business and to grow professionally, you have to. There's no way around personal growth.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like your business isn't growing, or you're in the same place, or when is it going to be your turn or your time, maybe it's an opportunity to have a heart check. Maybe it's an opportunity, to look at the inside and say, maybe there's something here that if I'm more open. I will tell you, this vulnerability is underrated. It's
Yeah.
underrated. And the more open and vulnerable we can be, the better people can help us and serve us, and the more people can relate to us. We're living in a different world today than ever before. People need that heart connection.
Mhm.
That's why we do weekend retreats, and it's small. It's 8 women, and the connections made there, like the hearts are pumping. It's amazing. And then the 20 women. It's just a matter of being vulnerable, showing up your most authentic self, and leaning into that.
That authenticity, it's one of the things that you can hear people throwing it around. If you like what you said, like a heart check, when you're there, you're creating on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And you just stop comparing yourself to others. You get more creative. You do bigger things than you thought you ever could. You can't even see what that is that you're going to be discovering, that you're going to be creating in your programs, or a latest talk that you're going to do, or building relationships. Relationships are so important to me. I feel like every client that I've had, that I go back and have these great conversations with, like, they may not be my client now, they were a client a year ago, they were a client a month ago, and it's like I just lean in on just how fabulous they are. So to me, number one is to really change this world. Fresh Talks Global Vision, really thinking in that vision is, how much more can I grow my heart? Like what you were saying at the beginning, we're always learning.
Yes.
You're not like at a ta-da moment, but I love that ta-da moment. When you're celebrating every day and you're going, "Hey, man, I just grew a little bit
Yeah.
more," or you're
Yeah.
having this great conversation, being able to celebrate something.
Yeah.
So you
And
are
tada,
fabulous, Kara.
tada can be small. Tada can be a small thing and still be
Yeah,
tada, right? It
yeah,
doesn't have to be some big, huge thing. I think we
no,
we really lack in celebrating ourselves.
yeah,
We do the thing and we're moving on to the next thing, and then we're back in the minutia again.
Yeah.
and maybe slowing down is a really good thing for us in the
Yeah.
moment. Let someone know, like, hey, I did this and I'm so excited. Would you celebrate with me?
Hmm.
And having a community of people to be able to do that it's key. It's really key. And it's
Yeah.
a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, I do see that if we don't do that celebration, that's I call it the fit process. That last part is like thriving, like really celebrating at that moment. That even just 1% of whatever your goal is, it keeps us moving forward. And I know that I used to kept going backwards, like I'd be still stuck in the same spot. I'd be like, oh, yes, I'm doing all these things, everything looks great. And then all of a sudden, one thing happens. And because I was so much into doing and not really being able to feel it in my heart, being more scared as an entrepreneur. And I know that I'd say 15 years ago, it was all about very masculine, like, kind of protecting and making all these statements about money and being more aggressive. Where I find that since freedom, safety, and healing, us feeling the freedom in our body and also the work that we do, that's where we're going to have this growth. This is where we're going to make this transformation. Don't you think so? Kara, what do you feel about that?
I do actually. I used to
Mhm.
say, when I first started Connect for Success,
Yeah.
men and women are different. So masculine and feminine energy is different.
Yeah.
And again, it's not good or bad. It's just
Right.
different. But
Right.
in the networking space, I think this is my philosophy. So back in the 60s and 70s, when women were giving up the barefoot and pregnant thing and coming into the workforce, think about this. The only model we had were men. So we modeled
Right.
ourselves after men, and that's not the natural course of how we should behave. So something as simple as like a business card in your face is like very masculine. And
Yeah.
as women, we're like, but there's so many women that move in that space. And then you have like, there's different industries I would say that are more heavy in that, like the financial world, but we can get caught up in that. And if nothing else, I think, going through the last few years of all the stuff we went through as a world, as a
Yeah.
community, as humans, has really, for some of us, given us the cause to slow down a little bit and say what matters most and what is it that I need, and being okay with asking for what you need. And if what you need is to be aligned more with other women that think and feel and that are going through the same thing, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you don't play in a man's world. Of course you do. But you can own that feminine energy, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
So I think that when we're surrounded with other women that are, both really kind and gracious, but also badass at the same time. There's
Yeah.
nothing better. Like, to me, that is such a compliment when someone's like, "You're a badass,"
Yeah.
because I want to be a badass, but I also want to be, kind and considerate and have grace. So yeah. I really feel like we're in the prime time. Also, let's put it this way. Like, I don't know your age, but I'm Gen X and we grew up very differently. I have a daughter who's 21 and was 22, and things like her mental health are so important to her. And I think the world has just changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So things that we'd be like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, and just move through it and just plow through it, power through, power through, power through. Now that slowing down, I know I've said it a few times, but there's
Yeah.
power in that of going, what is it that I really need? And it's okay to ask for it. It's okay to seek it. It's okay to find it. It's okay to get it and
Yeah.
to help, like, put on my mask first, as they say,
Yeah.
so that I can serve others. And yeah, I think that that's okay. And I think the awareness of that, and then that by itself, if nothing else, brings that realness, if you will, because you're like, oh wait, I'm struggling and I need more self-care and I need a little of this. And then you have a girlfriend, oh, I'm going through menopause, oh my gosh, so am I. And before you know it, boom boom boom, like, I will tell you what, we just came off of our weekend retreat with 8 women, and I mean, literally, like, belly laugh, like, pee your pants. I hope I can say that on air, laughing about
Yeah.
like the things, but it's laughing about like real life stuff
Yeah.
that you don't even think comes up in business, but it does. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And that release is amazing.
I love it. You've talked about your day retreat that's in February, make sure that you send me that link and I'll give you the link of our live chat too. I want to make sure I get that
Awesome.
out because
Yeah.
if anybody that wants to fly in, I've done that before,
Yep.
or that's close to, is this where it's going to be in Carlsbad?
It's gonna actually it is in Carlsbad, South Carlsbad this time. The last one we had a woman come in from Santa Barbara. We had a couple people from Orange County, from Reading. Like, you know, if
Yeah,
you're
wedding.
if you're
Yeah,
in proximity, come on down because
yeah.
you will
Well,
love
this
it.
is
It's gonna be
great.
amazing.
This is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Hey, man, I might make it there, Kara, because I love group thinking, and I really appreciate what you're talking about here and how you're building business. It's one of the most sincere ways to do it. You are a badass mama, and I love that. I love the yin and yang, and I come from corporate also, and there's that thing when we start really working as a group, it's pretty darn incredible. So we'll get that information out. Fresh Talks Global Vision. I enjoyed another conversation. Kara is incredible. The beautiful heart that she's sending out. To finish this off, I really do want to keep focused in on hashtag speaker locking arms. And it sounds like Kara's is right in there. Business, like hashtag this, hashtag that, because social media is a great way for us to connect. Remember, when you're seeing wonderful things out there, that really is for you. People aren't trying to usually paint this perfect picture. It's just that we love to share in all the wealth. And sometimes when you see somebody that is struggling, instead of blaming them or shaming them like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have put that on social media, love on it, lean in. Let's give more love to those people. We've been talking a lot about mental health and how we want to discover how to love on people when they're sharing that they're having some mental breakdown, because there is a thing in there that's a stigma that I want to clear. And I know after being on thyroid for 20 years, and it's been almost 9 years now, I've been off of medicine, and
Wow.
it literally has to do with mindset. I have all these other strategies as a health coach and doing all this stuff. Those are important. But right here and now, let's keep our vocals open and let's keep learning how we can love on one another, because you'll be incredibly happy. There's something about that. Let's just keep leaning in, sharing our heart, being heart cohesive with our brain so that we can really keep connecting and seeing each other eye to eye. Hashtag speaker locking arms. Let's get to it, everybody. No more blaming and shaming. Kara Horat, thank you so much. Horat. Mm,
Thank you,
thank you,
Rhonda.
Kara. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. Connect. I'll make sure I get some links. Connect